I don't need you guys to run. I need you guys to be here.
Gun owners feel targeted.
Gun control is freedom control.
Proposed legislation in Olympia would limit magazine sizes, require training for concealed permits, and expand the authority for police to seize guns in domestic violence cases.
We know that the so-called safe storage element.
They're still upset over the November initiative that raised the purchase age on guns deemed assault weapons and called for more thorough background checks.
Senate will come to order.
Lieutenant Governor Cyrus Habib raised a new concern about guns this week.
We are the state.
He was a no-show at the governor's State of the State address. Habib, who was supposed to preside over the ceremony, asked that the public galleries above the House floor be closed because of security concerns. In the Senate, where Habib makes the rules, weapons are prohibited in the galleries. But the House allows concealed weapon permit holders to enter with firearms. And since that wasn't changing, Habib decided not to attend.
So he feels more secure because there's words on paper.
Senator Phil Fortunato, a gun owner, says Habib would have been safer beneath the House gallery.
I'm afraid.
The Republican from Auburn says proposed laws and Habib's rules only punish law-abiding gun owners.
I am afraid to run out of ammo. I only have 5 21-round magazines.
God forbid something ever happened. The day after that happened, everyone would say, why do we should stop allowing guns in galleries.
Habib says most state capitals prohibit guns in galleries, and he'd like to discuss bringing metal detectors back to Olympia. He says if courthouses, airports, even the Seahawks and Mariners prohibit weapons, the state should as well.
This has nothing to do with restricting your rights, but it does mean that we need to balance folks' desire to keep their guns with them at every moment of the day with their desire to come and sit in a gallery that looks down over the entirety of state government.
Drew Mikkelsen, King 5 News.